So the right and the left side are not moving with just one single click. So this is how far we've gone to. So our first course, we've been able to create the subject sheet. We have for the English language. What I'm saying is that when we are done, you just have to copy. So you go to move or copy. Then you click on the English, you create a copy. Then you click on OK. So the English has copied. So you have English 1, English 2. You just have to rename one of them to another subject. You double click on the English 2, then you type in maths. You click enter. Then you change the name here from English to maths. That's it. So you duplicate it to the subject you want to create. That's why we are working on only one sheet. When we are done, we just duplicate them because everything we are going to do here will be the same thing for all the subjects. So let's go back to English. Now let's start entering some marks. Although we have not entered any student's name yet, but let's start giving them some marks and see. So the first mark should be 10. Later, we will create a code whereby the user cannot enter more than 15. Where we are supposed to enter 15, the user can't enter more than 15. So we'll create a code for that. Now let's create a formula. The total here should give you 50. So the total here should give you 50. Let's create a formula. We have so many ways of creating formulas or so many forms of formulas we use. You can just write is equal to, then you sum. We are adding those numbers. So you sum into brackets. Then you drag these 3 cells. You press enter. So you can check from your calculator 10 plus 16 plus 14, which will give you 30. That will be the total. There are many ways of creating formulas. This is not the only way of creating a formula. Let's try with a different formula and see. So the same formula. Let's create another formula. If sum into brackets, then the cell, we have already captured the cell. That's C from C4 to E4. We have already captured that cell. Should be equal to, you click on the double quotation. You click on the double quotation, meaning when the cell is empty. When the cell is empty, it should ignore calculation minus another empty cell, comma, then sum again, open brackets, C4 is 2, E4, close brackets, enter. Let's accept the correction. You can see we are still having 30. What this formula means is that if in case you forget to type in any number here, you see that is representing the empty cell. Those quotation marks we have here is representing the empty cell. It should still do the calculations for you. So yeah, you don't have only one way of calculating. You can add in your formulas if you have any other way of calculating. So this will be the formula we are going to use. Now the examination, let's enter the test. The examination too, the user must enter the examination. So if a student gets, let's say 80, the 80% should be converted to 50%. How do you then do the formula? So let's write a formula for the conversion. You write is equal to, we are finding the average. We are finding the average of the number. When it appears like this, you can just double click to select. So average of who? Then we bring in a symbol, that's the at. We are finding the average of cell J, this cell. So you can click on the cell J4, then over on the keyboard is before the shift key on the keyboard, over 100%, over 100% times 50. The times on the keyboard is shift and 8 times 50. Then you close the bracket. Now we are going to insert the $sign right before the J to make it absolute, so that to run through all the rest of the cell we are going to capture. So $sign on the keyboard is shift 4. Then you put another $sign. Let's capture the J4 again. Is 2. J4. So the formula should run through cell J4 and J4. Then we bring in the $sign. The $sign to make it absolute. Then we hit on enter. So you can see that 50% of 80 is 40. That's half of 80 is 40. That's why we are having this formula there. This for first, we are going to add up to a different calculation. Maybe your calculation might add up to 60. In case you use a different values for here, then you add up to 60. You are going to use the formula to convert from 60 to 50%. So with that formula, you are going to edit. Let's go to this formula. Instead of you making it over 100, you make it over 60 times 50. Over 60 times 50, meaning you should convert over 60 times 50. Then you get the 50% of that conversion. So you use that formula, please. If you're adding up to 60, meaning you should have another column here which will convert the 60% to 50% before it comes to add up. Nonetheless, the next one, we are going to add cell F4, cell F4 and cell H4. That's the 50 plus the 50. We are going to add that one. So let's create another formula again to add the 50 plus 50. As I said, we have series of formula we use in adding. Let's write a different formula again to add these cells. Anytime you are writing a formula, don't forget to use the if sign, if command. So if into bracket is blank. What we are saying is that when the sheet is blank or when the space is blank, where is the is blank formula coming from? So we have F4. So if it's blank, if this cell is blank, F4, you capture the cell, you click on the cell to capture. Then you close the brackets, comma. You bring in the quotation mark. You hold the shift key and the key before the enter key on the keyboard is a double quotation mark. You bring another comma. Then into brackets, this same F4 again. You click on that F4 to select. Plus H4, we are adding H4, that's the 100%, 50%. So you click on that one, H4. Then you close the bracket. We have opened one bracket here. From the beginning of the if, we opened one bracket. So we are closing with two brackets. The second bracket is representing the first one we opened. That's what we are closing. So plus a double bracket, then click on OK. So you can see that 30 plus 40 will give you 70. As I said, we have various ways of adding formulas. So you can use any suitable formula you like. Our next formula we'll be calculating is the positions.